Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Important Work. I'm your host, Chris Angel, and I'm here with my guest today, Curt Stockwell. Hello,
yes,
friend.
Sir. Hello, Chris. How are you today?
I'm good, man. Welcome back from your vacation. It's great to see you.
Yeah, I've got the Yellowstone hat from, you can't get out of a place like Yellowstone without dropping some coin on
some swag,
some stuff. So I got a hat. Yep.
Mementos, memorabilia.
Yeah. Yellowstone. Have you been to Yellowstone?
I've never been to Yellowstone. I mean, I've had friends that go and just have great stories of wildlife.
Oh my goodness. It's unbelievable.
What was the coolest thing about Yellowstone?
Incredibly beautiful. It's a very violent place, and not that the tourists are punching each other.
Drive-bys.
Right. No. Yeah. Bunch of drive-by. No. It's all like earthquakes and volcanic activity under the surface. I mean, so Old Faithful is, the water's spouting up out of the earth because of cataclysmic things going on just below the surface. And it's all over Yellowstone. So Old Faithful is a geyser, but there's geysers everywhere. It's just Old Faithful's the famous one, and bubbling little mud bogs. And it's
wow.
Amazing. I thought many times, like the explorers or even the Native American Indians that first came into that region were probably thinking, I've just come to the edge of hell. And,
yeah, right. Jurassic something or other.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be dinosaurs wandering from around these trees. It's quite an amazing place, but the beauty is unreal.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, you know what else is violent in the world? I think a lot of times marketing can be very violent. I think I think the world of how people market themselves can be very tumultuous. I think it's very aggressive, sometimes competitive, where I think we're taught to manipulate and close people.
Coffees for closers.
Coffees for always be ABC, always be closing.
Right.
And I was just looking at my LinkedIn. I don't play much on LinkedIn, but I get push notifications. So I'll see like so-and-so sent you a message. So I went in and looked at these messages I've been accumulating. And every one of them, I kid you not, every one of them were like new connections. And the first thing they said to me in my inbox in LinkedIn was, hey, this is me. This is what I do. Let me know if I can help you. Like, right. They didn't buy me a drink. They didn't ask me how I was. It was just straight into a pitch. And I feel like in a lot of ways, this is the marketing landscape in this day and age. And it's absurd. It's ridiculous. And I think we, the consumer, are tired of it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you about, you have a show called The Human Side of Marketing. You have a web design and other stuff. You can tell me about what else you do in your company. But I know that you have an angle on how to bring humanity into all of this, which I think the rest of us are so hungry for. So yeah. So tell me about you. Like, how did you get to The Human Side of Marketing as a show? Where did this thought come from? Walk me through it.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the feeling of violence and cataclysmic events when it comes to marketing. And you mentioned things related to the way people do marketing. It can be very a little, in your face and always closing and that kind of mentality. But also, you can have, I think it feels very cataclysmic inside your own soul when you're trying to do marketing that doesn't feel authentic. It is something that makes you feel restless and feel fake and feel vulnerable and feel, I think vulnerable is a great word because when you're putting yourself out there, like one thing I tell my staff, we help businesses clarify their marketing message so they connect better with their customers. That's what we do as a whole, kind of like 1,000-foot view. Yep. The majority of the time we're doing that through a website as kind of a first touch. And then there's other ways that we help our clients through things like email campaigns and writing copy for print campaigns. We don't do print campaigns, but the thing that you hear often from people who genuinely want to fix their marketing is they're like, I'm in my business all day long, every day, and it's 2 inches away from my face. And I know my product better than anybody, but I don't know how to talk about it. I don't know how to create a connection with my customer in a way that's authentic and real. And I don't feel like, I don't want to feel like a kind of slimy salesman. So the cataclysmic feeling that people have within themselves, if they're not the type, because I think most people are not the type that are like the used car salesman
Agreed.
style.
Totally.
Most people are not like that. I think most people very genuinely want genuine connection. So when they have this desire to do marketing that's authentic and real, and they don't know how to do it, it can be very, very unsettling.
Yeah.
And so about 4 years ago, so I've been building websites and helping people with marketing for about 10 years. And actually my company, Well Dressed Walrus, we just had our 8th anniversary
Hey,
just this week. So
didn't know that. Congratulations. That's
yes,
awesome.
we are a bunch of 8-year-olds around here, and we act like that often, which is fun. Probably for half that time, we were creating digital marketing in the space of a website primarily. The website looked great. It worked great. We did a good job hosting the website and, you know, doing any custom functionality that was needed for the website. But one thing that was always missing in my mind was creating great copy or the words that were used to talk about the product or service that we were creating a website for.
Yeah.
Inside myself, there was some cataclysmic, I guess, happenings, you know, where I thought, you know, we're creating this great website. It looks great. It works great, but it's just not, it's not good enough. I'm not happy with it because it's missing the message that really, that should be said. I just don't know how to do it. I don't have a background in full disclosure. I didn't get an education in copywriting or an education in journalism or an education in that, you know, my background's in design, graphic design. And I went on a search for how to help customers clarify their message in a way that was authentic and real and made their made my customer feel great and made their customers feel listened to and heard and understood. So your question as far as the journey of where I eventually came to the human side of marketing is I was wrestling with the fact that marketing just seemed fake and seemed stale and seemed off. And I was really just kind of stumbled on the human side of marketing by saying it just needs to be more human. Right. And there needs to be more of a human side to marketing. Oh, hey, there you go. The human side of marketing. I'm going to start walking down this path and see where it leads. So that was a few years ago. Yeah. And now today, you know, I don't have a business called The Human Side of Marketing. I've got a podcast called The Human Side of Marketing. And that's kind of the genesis of it. It was just out of a desire to help my customers be more real and help my company help them find an answer to a problem that the majority, I would say 95% of the people we work with have a unclear message and they don't know how to fix it. Yeah.
So good. I feel like when most people think of marketing, we think of algorithms, we think SEO, we think all the little tactics to do, like I'm supposed to post 5 to 7 times a day. Like there's all these tactical things that happen. And in the tactics of it all, we lose connection with the fact that there's a human on the other side of our marketing. You did a great episode in your show on, I can't remember what we called it, but it was basically like, you know, humans are on the other side of your website, not bots. Like search engines and bots aren't the ones who are reading your website. Right. People are. Right. So we spend all this time to try to make our websites appealing to bots and search engines, and we're missing the whole human aspect of what creates a connection with the person we're trying to actually serve.
Right. Yeah. So I mentioned 2011 is when we started. And actually I just looked at a report from, I can't remember who was the company that created the report, but in 2011, there were about 700 ways to market your business online.
Wow.
And in 2019, there's over 7,000.
Oh, wow.
And so, you know, obviously online marketing has become extremely relevant, obviously. Yeah. And there's over 7,000 ways to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
When a business owner or even a marketing person within an agency or company, when they're looking at those 7,000 different ways to do your marketing, it becomes extremely overwhelming. And we naturally fall into the trap of going, okay, well, which one's going to give us the best ROI? Which one's going to give us the best edge? Which one is, you know, fits our personality the best or whatever. And like you said, they're looking at the bells and whistles and they're looking at the functionality of this online marketing thing as the solution to the problem. And I'm not saying that those tools are bad, because Facebook's great, Instagram's great, all of those. I'm sure the majority of those 7,000 different ways to do your marketing, for some people, they work great, some more than others. The thing that is the common thread through every single one of those pieces of, every single one of those tools is a message.
Yeah.
Because on the other side of that, of every one of those 7,000 different ways to do your marketing, there's another human being who wants to be understood. And what we always tell our customers is, we're going to tell a story about your business. And, you know, I kind of unpack it in this way. You know, you've probably heard the fact that it's very important to tell a story in your marketing. And I get a lot of, you know, heads nodding across the table. And then I kind of drop this truth bomb on them. The reality is, people don't care about your story. They care about how your product fits into their story. So we're going to tell a story, but we're going to tell a story about your customer's journey and how you're going to guide them to a solution. So using the elements of story, using the power of story, which the human brain just naturally understands since before the written word, we as human beings have been using the power of story. So every story has a character who has a problem and meets a guide. And then that guide, whether it's, you know, Gandalf or Obi-Wan Kenobi, or David Spade in Tommy Boy, you know, whichever guide it is helping that character through a journey to success. So really, that's what you are. And I tell my customers, so you are the guide, you're not the hero. And we're going to create a narrative around your marketing that invites your customer into a story about themselves. And when I kind of, like I said, drop that truth bomb on them, they're like, yes, that is absolutely the way we should do it. And it's one of those kind of aha moments. And then when I get into the fact that, you know, once we figure this out, then we'll go look at all of those thousands of ways to do your digital marketing. Because until then, all of those digital marketing tools aren't working to its full capacity until you have a message that people want to hear.
I love that. I feel like part of what turns me on about important work is that I'll like, and you're such a great example of this, where I will see people who are in their profession, in their business, and they're going about their stuff. And at some point it just becomes disenchanting. Like, you get bored of it. And I could see for you, like, cause we've known each other now for a couple of years, like there was a moment where you bumped into, like, doing the design of it all was missing something for you, like you've said, but you stepped into this bigger conversation that really connected with, I think, your soul. And beyond your talents as a designer, it connected to your soul. And I think that's where important work comes from. It comes from this connection of the things you do connected to a bigger conversation that makes an impact in the world, not just designs a pretty website or whatever you listening to this, whatever your business is. Like, what was it? How did you find that spark? Like, what was it that took you into this? Was it just like grinding it out long enough to be like, this isn't it, and you just started looking for answers and reading books? Or
so that's really what it came down to. It was a dissatisfaction in the work that I was delivering, and realizing after, you know, kind of some thought and toil, that the missing piece of it is the messaging is not strong. Like I said, I don't have an education in writing, so I went looking for answers. I found the book Building a Story Brand by an author named Donald Miller. And that book really just kind of unpacked what was in my head and put it into I don't want to say a formula, but put it into a way to, like, very easily understand how to bring somebody else through the journey of understanding who's their customer, what is their problem, how can I help them, guide them to a solution. So really the book Building a Story Brand, which actually you recommended to me years ago, was the big epiphany moment for me. And it was like, this is what I've been waiting for. Seth Godin has this quote, or said something about books being like $5 bills, just laying all over the ground. And I heard that years ago. And so I thought, I'm just going to dive into a book. And if it's starting to, or into some sort of training or something online, I mean, what a cool time we are in history, right?
Big
You
time.
want to learn something, you just go online and learn it.
Yeah.
You know, or if you're passionate about something and you want to connect to a tribe of people who, are passionate about that, online anyway, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah, totally though. Totally true though.
But so I just kind of got the mentality that I'm just going to keep searching and turning over rocks until I find what I'm looking for, because I know it's out there. And the thing that really resonated to me was the Building a Story Brand book.
Yeah.
And then Story Brand provides what they call guide training. And so a guide certification. So I went to Nashville about a year and a half ago, and got trained by Donald Miller and his team on how to do the Story Brand style of helping customers work through their marketing. I was trained by he and his team. So I just went to the source and got trained.
Yeah.
Now I'm what they call a Story Brand certified guide.
It's very fancy.
So for me, very fancy. Yeah, very important.
Very important.
For me, the title or whatever doesn't mean anything really to me. It's just the fact that I now have a way to put structure around what was kind of rattling around my head.
Do you listen to shows like this and think, I could totally do that? You have a longing to connect more genuinely with your community and have a platform where you can play a bigger game. But you never start because either the tech's overwhelming or you don't want more work on your plate, or maybe you're not exactly sure what you would say. Yet you know you have really important things to share. This is why we created a done-for-you content marketing service, helping you give life to the conversations in your head to grow your business and your impact. Learn more at mygroundswell.com.
I feel like if I dissected that for like the lesson in that for me, I feel like you can feel lost, and then there's like a perspective, a paradigm shift that happens that inspires, that creates a spark. Yeah. So like you bumped into Building a Story Brand as a book. It created a paradigm shift for you in terms of how marketing works, how websites fit into that whole thing. And then after the spark, it provided you a framework. And I think a lot of times frameworks give us a track to run on. Without the framework, we're inspired by an idea, but don't know what to do with it. And that's been true for me too. I think I'll get a paradigm shift. And if there's no format or structure, framework to follow, then I don't know what to do with it. And so I slide back into being frustrated or dissatisfied with whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that's been cool just to watch you take that and run with it and infuse it into your show and infuse it into your business. I'm curious to know, like a year ago started working with our agency in terms of creating your podcast. That I think also is a kind of framework to have a structure like a show where you have people do stuff for you. You just have to show up and talk about your important work.
Yeah.
What has that been like for you? Why did you decide to do a show? Why are you still doing a show? Like walk me through some of that.
Yeah. So I, like many people, when you get excited about something, you want to tell other people about it. And so I wanted to and it was actually kind of cool how your the kind of creation of the show kind of came about right as I was kind of in this space of wanting to figure out a way to get my thoughts to the masses as it relates to marketing and the journey that I've been on, and kind of invite people into, hey, this is the journey I've been on. Maybe you can pick up some nuggets on the way, like I have been able to. So I wanted to do a podcast, one, to really kind of give to the business community, like a way to maybe some perspective that they hadn't thought about before. And it's not like I'm saying anything in my podcast that's like nobody else is saying, but right. Everybody's perspective on stuff always brings a little bit of a different kind of shine than the next person. And then also kind of selfishly, I wanted a way that I could be putting content out there that was like free. Hey, here's a big give back from Well Dressed Walrus from Curt Stockwell, and take it and use it. And there's no strings attached, but if you would like to work with us, this is how you can. Right. I think that's a great way to do marketing. And I think it really checked a box for me to do something authentic and real, and was in that space of the human side of marketing.
Yeah, it was human.
To do a show.
Yeah.
So what the structure of your show, as probably many people who are listening know, is, we record a couple shows, and then every couple weeks an email goes out that that invites people to listen to the show.
Right.
And I've had many people, so I think I've got maybe like 800 people on my list that goes out every 2 weeks. And there's probably, I think it's like a 20% open rate, which is decent.
Yeah.
But I've often heard from people, I was emailing a guy that I know who's not a client, but he's a colleague, and was saying something about a mutual customer that we have. And he mentioned, hey, keep up the emails, keep up the good work with the human side of marketing. I love it. And I hear that often over the last, because we've been doing it about a year. I hear that often. People say, hey, I get your emails. And hey, I really appreciate that show that you do. And I've never gotten a reply back from them via email. It's been a year. They've had no communication with me over that year. But every once in a while, somebody will pop up and go, thank you for that. I've been listening to every episode for the last year.
Isn't that crazy? I love
that. You just never know. And what I love about the authenticity of it is it's putting something out there that keeps my name in front of them. Yeah. And it's something that they're seeing as a resource. Yeah. There's a book that go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say it's cool because especially like the email, like, we get a lot of feedback on the email. It's so funny because a lot of people are like, email, I hate email. People are always spamming my inbox. But when it comes from a trusted source, somebody they know, it gives you a way to email, and they actually thank you for it. Like, when was the last time I was like, hey, thank you for the emails? Like, most people don't say, hey, thank you for an email. Yeah. We look at email as like this thing that clutters our inbox. But what's so cool about the human side of this whole thing is that people actually then reach back to you and say, thank you. Yeah. Or you'll bump into them at Costco or some coffee shop, and they're like, hey, I've been seeing your shows. And you're like, really? Like, nobody's liking it. Nobody's commenting on it. Right. But they do watch it. They do see it. And they feel it. They think it's cool. They're like, this is cool. Good job. Keep doing it. Thank you.
Right. And I think that's one thing to remember if people are thinking about doing something like a show, or they're just hustling on social media. This is a type of a hustle where you're out there, working hard and putting out content. And there's some days that I don't want to do the show. I don't feel inspired, but I do it anyway. So that's where that hustle and grind comes in. You don't do, I think we just did our 30th show, I think. Yeah. Something. You don't do 30 shows, and every single show you're just, psyched out of your mind to do it. The reality is there's some grind in there. But what I was going to say is when it comes to people liking it, clicking like, or subscribing, I guess that's the thing that you see on, YouTube or on the podcast, right? The subscribe. I don't really have a ton of subscribers. Yeah. But I have a lot of people who listen to it. Yeah. And one thing that's kind of a false indicator in social media are likes and follows.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
You can't look at your social media and go, oh, I only had 10 likes. It must not be really making an impact. I heard somebody who's kind of a social media expert once say, what button they don't have is a dislike button. Now, if there was a dislike button, that's kind of a different thing. But just because somebody didn't click like doesn't mean they don't like it.
Right. Totally. Yeah.
And so I look at the value of what I'm doing in the show, and the ROI that I get from the show is the feedback that I get from people miscellaneously, throughout the community. Yeah. And that's not even locally here in Spokane. That's, I've had people who reached out from across the country who I send the show to, and they're like, hey, thanks so much for doing that. Wow. I really enjoy listening to it.
It's so cool. I love that.
Yeah. And so again, there's a book I was going to mention. There's a book called Utility, YOU Utility. So you can check it out. But the whole preface behind that is one of the ways to be more real in marketing these days is have your company put something out into the business space that's completely free and has no strings attached. Yep. When you do that and people see that you're coming from a genuine, authentic place of wanting to be a resource, then that's a big deal. When it comes to, I heard, I say this often, that people don't use the internet to find information anymore. They use the internet to filter information. And if you think about that, just as we've been sitting here talking, there's probably multiple alerts that have popped up on our phone, putting something in our face related to a certain topic, right? We didn't go search out this news topic, or we didn't go search out this push notification. It just showed up in our face. And that happens all day long, every day when you're online. So when those things happen, and they happen to all of us, when you want to find clarity, then you go to find a resource that you trust to find clarity about that thing. So when you're hustling and putting yourself out there as a resource and a utility for the business community or for whatever tribe or community you're in, when those things happen related to your space, they're going to go, oh, I trust Chris, I trust Curt, I trust fill in the blank, because they've constantly been giving for months and years. And I'm going to go to them to filter this information and to get you know, some thoughts from them on it, because I didn't get the alert from them, but in my mind they're the expert that's going to bring clarity to this thing. And so when you start doing that, you know, you start to win in whatever space you're in, because you're the recognized expert. I've heard that often, and you probably have too, is you online, you want to be known as a recognized expert. And that doesn't happen by sending out a couple tweets, you know, or posting 100 times on Instagram and then giving up.
And I think the way that you're doing your show, more than, in addition to the expert piece of it, it just creates a human connection. Like, that's the thing. Like, if you're not just an expert, but you're this approachable human. So there's this likability factor, this trust factor, and then there's this authority, credibility factor. And you get both, I think, from, you know, this human way of creating content. And I think it lets people in. People often, like for me, they'll come into working with me feeling like they know me simply because they've seen the show, and I've never met them, never talked to them, but they come in feeling related or connected to me because they've consumed so much of the content. I'm sure the same is true for you.
Yeah, for sure. And
like they know you.
What's great about that is when you have that kind of confidence, you don't have to posture and puff when you're going back to your comment about LinkedIn. You know, I don't have to posture and puff and say, hey, I'm the expert. Let me tell you about myself. You know, enough about me. Let's talk about myself, kind of a thing. You can just have that resource out there, and people want to access it. They can. They don't need to. And you know, whatever vertical or space you're in, you know, everybody's not your tribe and everybody's not your customer. And if they were, then you probably have a product that's for nobody. You know, if your product's for everybody, it's for nobody. So I think the thing that I've had to think about, or I've had to kind of come to grips with over the last year, is because initially I was looking at like, man, am I getting shares? Am I getting likes? Am I getting subscriptions? And I'm not really seeing that. But in the long game, the long tail version of this, I'm seeing people go, I value what you're doing, and I see it as a resource that I look forward to on a weekly basis. On a bi-weekly basis. So that's where the value is, for sure.
I love it. Well, tell me, if people want to find your podcast, if they want to listen to it, how do people find your podcast?
So on Stitcher, Apple, and Google Podcasts, you can search The Human Side of Marketing.
Perfect.
Awesome. On Instagram, we're at WD Walrus, Facebook, WD Walrus, and you know, you can connect to the show that way too. Our website is welldressedwalrus.com. We actually put our show as a bi-weekly post on our website.
As well. Got it. Cool.
And that's got the video embedded right in the link. So you can watch the video there.
Love it.
And yeah, that's how you can find us.
You guys often will do free consultations or just conversations. If people are thinking about their marketing, they're trying to clarify stuff, but they don't know exactly where to start. You guys will often have a free conversation with them about how to start or what to do. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah. So if you go to clarifymymarketing.com, you can find more information about how to connect with me and just schedule a call. We'll just look at where you feel stuck and how we might be able to help. One of the newer products that we've actually put out is called Your Brand's Marketing Playbook. And we put that together. It's not a website. We're not building anything like a website or any sort of like SEO campaign or email campaign. It's literally diagnosing your marketing message and putting it into what I call a playbook or a roadmap, whatever you want to say.
Wow.
And I love sports. I love football. I love watching NFL football and all that. So I just kind of naturally kind of formulated in my mind that you're looking at these coaches on the sidelines, and when there's an important play that needs to happen to win the game, they don't just tell their quarterback throw harder, or the running back run faster, or the offensive line hit harder.
Yeah.
But that's what we do in marketing often as business owners. We're just like, well, I'm just going to try harder, or I'm going to post more, or I'm going to say more things that people don't understand, right? I'm going to posture more, I'm going to puff more, and that's going to be, that never works. And that doesn't work in sports. That doesn't work in any sort of journey in life. You need to have a roadmap or a playbook again. So kind of this idea of a playbook. So we're going to create what we call a playbook related to your marketing. So when you do have those 7,000 different ways to do your marketing online, it's not scary. You know which ones work for you, which ones that you want to kind of try. And when you go into that space, you know what to say.
Yeah.
Because again, if you don't have the words to say within your marketing, whether it's a website or an email campaign or in print, or really even the words that are coming out of your mouth, using this playbook, we've helped businesses create keynotes and PowerPoint presentations.
Yeah.
You've got there's very critical times in your marketing where you get an opportunity to connect with people. And if you're confusing them with your marketing and you don't have a playbook, quote unquote, you can miss out on a lot of opportunity. So
how do people start that process if they want?
So if you went to yourmarketingplaybook.com, yourmarketingplaybook.com.
Got it.
Yeah. There you can kind of order, quote unquote, order a playbook or get started with the process there, or just go check it out. And if you want to connect and learn more about what we could do for you, you can kind of go into that free consultation offer. But
beautiful.
It's a critical piece. And I think that most businesses waste an enormous amount of money on marketing that doesn't work.
Yeah.
An enormous amount of money because they never take the time to create the roadmap or the playbook to know how to say what they need to say within those spaces. So they're relying on algorithms, and they're relying on software, and they're relying on all these things that are supposed to bring back an ROI, and it doesn't. And then they blame the thing.
Yeah.
Right. Facebook doesn't work, or, this doesn't work or that doesn't work. Well, you probably had a message that was confusing, and that's why it didn't work.
Yeah, totally.
So I will save you money.
Right. I love it. So good. Curt, thanks for being on the show, man. I love doing the show with you, your show, The Human Side of Marketing. Glad that you're a friend of mine. Thanks for being on the show today, and look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, be well.
Thanks, man.
Do you have important work in the world? We can help you produce a show just like this one and get your message out in the world. Go to mygroundswell.com to connect with us now.